Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. You're watching In Deep on the Delta, and it's a pleasure to be here in Ione with Bob Messer. Bob is a custom bait maker. And Bob, you've been making bait since you were 14.
Yes, I have.
It's been a passion.
I love it.
I can tell because I met Bob a month or two ago out at the Bass Hole on Bethel Island, and he was displaying some of his absolutely beautiful hand-carved rats. And I looked at this and I said, I'm going to have to get one of these because this is a Delta bait if there ever was a Delta bait. So Bob, you take it from a block of what type of wood you use?
This is the premium Western red cedar from Northern California.
And this is not an injected mold. This is all wood. This is the old style. They just have a different move in the water and a different sound. And I don't know if you guys can hear this, but that's
what makes a wood bait.
That's a wood bait, and there's something about it the fish like. So you're taking them from that block, and you said there's 40 steps?
Yeah, 30 steps for a basic rat, 40 steps for the hair paint job rat. And we take it from this, we take it and rip it on a table saw, get it blocked up, squared up, and then we turn it so we can take the edges off so it's not so hard on the parts. And so we do it by hand right here and take it down to that, and that's the first probably 8 steps is to get it to this point. And then we'll take it into the finishing room and show you the other stuff later.
That'll be great. Approximately how many hours do you have in each bait?
Oh God, if I had to put an hour, I'd probably quit making them.
So, and they're not mass-produced baits. If you decide that you're going to invest in one of these, you may not even want to fish it. You may want to put it on your wall.
No, fish it.
Fish it, okay. We're going to do that. So Bob, let's go into your finish room and we'll check out what you do in there, and then we're going to come back out and we're going to talk about how you fish these and what you set them up with and why they work so well. Let's check out the finish room.
All right. We're in the finishing room here. This is where we bring them in from out in the shop where it's dusty. All the wood is it's kind of like a clean room in here, and we have them in various finished stages. All the baits come in here to get painted. We do the finishing, packaging, pretty much after it's been cut, the sealing, everything's done right here. And when it's all finished, this is what it comes out like, a beautiful Ramrat with the hair jig or the hair design, and it's painted. It's custom painted. Every one of them's different, being custom painted. I love that about it, and it is one of a kind every time. So you have something special. Let's go in and talk about why they catch fish.
Okay, we're back at the bench with Bob. We're going to talk about 3 of your most popular baits. And Bob's taking me around the shop, and he has got prototypes all over this place. Every bait that comes out of this box and the other boxes that he has doesn't make it to the final finished bait that he wants to sell. So we're going to talk about 3 of Bob's baits. We're going to talk about the weights. Bob will let us know what he throws them on. I'm going to question Bob about why they work and so on and so forth. So Bob, let's talk about your most popular bait.
Sure. Well, the Ramrat is the most popular. And this is the most popular color, the brown rat.
And let me take a look at that. Just beautiful paint on this. I don't know how this is going to show up, but man, just beautifully done. Paint jobs are excellent, man. I love these baits.
Thank you.
This is what's the weight on this?
That's approximately 2.4 ounces. Each one's custom made, so it can vary.
About a 2-ounce bait. You're throwing these on a Dobbins swim bait rod.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Straight braid?
I throw it with braid, and I use a 2-foot shock leader of mono.
And what's the pound test on that?
I use 25 pound, 20-25 depending on what I have in the boat. But
Okay.
yeah, 20
So-
to 25.
A general place to start from.
You bet.
And again, I love the sound of these because
That's
I
what
know
gets them.
that that's going to click in the water. And the other thing that we were talking about is this big, oversized bill. And I talked to you about the shape of it, the size, why it's thicker down here than it is up here for deflection purposes. You've worked on this for as long time, and you've got it set up so that when this bait is coming through the water, it's got just not only the right amount of wiggle,
Right.
but just the right amount of
Just a hair, so when you fish it, you can fish it slow. You can walk the dog with that bait. You can speed it up, and with that bill and the weighting that we did, you can fish that lure various speeds, and it's going to act the same. One of the worst things about big baits, you break a bill, you're throwing away $100 to $200 bait. We replace our bait, the lips.
And that's the other thing. If you happen to hit these with a rock or on a bank,
Sure.
you're not always throwing them up against toolies on the Delta. You could. I've hit a few baits, and I have broken my
You bet.
my Mikeys, and actually they still work, but they don't catch as many fish as they do with the lip.
Correct.
You will replace these things.
You betcha.
And you told me that these are you have a sale on $99.
Right, $99.99, and the solids, the black, the whites, solid paints are $89.99 right now.
Okay, $89.99 for, and then I'm just going to pull this one as a bone.
You bet.
Bob makes them in bone, and here, hold this guy.
You betcha.
And basically black. And guess what? I fish the Delta a lot at night, and there's two colors that I need. The only two colors: bone and a black. That brown rat looks like a freaking rat.
You bet.
I definitely use that one. But that's your rat, and that is a wake bait. This is your, what are you calling this one?
This is the Ram Walker, and it's basically a topwater stick bait made out of wood. And the special thing about this one is if you shake that, there's a rattle in the wood. And you don't find that. It is very difficult to get rattles in the wood. And that thing makes a sound that can't be duplicated with resins, plastics. Only wood can give that sound.
And you're fishing this like a Zara spook. It's
Correct.
a walking bait. So
Correct.
this will walk.
You betcha.
Beautiful bait. I just love I love getting hooked by it. I love the lines of that bait. What's the weight on this bait?
The Ram Walker, believe it or not, is only 1.2 ounces, approximately.
And you're throwing on a standard crankbait, a
Standard
Dobbins
crankbait Dobbins rod.
Okay.
They go 1/4 to 1 ounce, and I throw it on a 1.2.
Straight braid?
I throw that on braid, and I also use a shock leader on that. I use mono. And reason is, there's two reasons you want to do that. The shock, it gives that parabolic action so the fish can't rip the hooks out of its mouth. But the other thing is, when you cast braid's limp, and it gets tangled in the hooks, it gets tangled up. If you've ever thrown straight braid, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that mono shock leader allows it to lay stiffer and not let that braid get wrapped around. Because what's the worst thing? You can hook into a fish and you got it wrapped around to where it's going to break off.
So 20 pound, 25 on this also.
20 pound on that one.
And that's going to allow you to walk this thing and splash it,
walks.
and it's not going to. The hooks are not going to come back and pick up the line. That's good information.
And
there.
if you look at it, the hooks, like a lot of wood baits, you put those two together, they're not tangling.
Yeah, they're not going to tangle up.
So they're perfectly made.
And you've got last but not least, you got a popper there.
You betcha. We have been doing the poppers for a long time. And when we first came out, we had these jumbo poppers for the Delta, and they worked great, but the eye appeal wasn't there. So we found a way to balance it to get it down to that size, and it spits, walks. The walk in the dog is amazing with this bait. And those poppers, you can almost, with the buoyancy of the cedar, you can almost back them up. So when you do a quick pop, you can pop and go back. Keep it in the strike zone longer.
And I know what this one weighed because I asked him It's right in about a half an ounce,
Correct.
maybe a little under.
Correct.
You can throw this with any
A little over.
Little over.
Yeah.
Okay, standard rod. I like the size on these for delta fish.
You bet.
They're just a big chunk. If you've watched any of my videos, I love the River
yeah.
to Sea Bubble Walker, and I think this is going to duplicate a lot of what that Bubble Walker does. And
Right.
does
And
this?
same thing. If you hear it, there's a rattle
Yeah.
in there.
I don't know if you guys can hear this, but there is.
Rattle. Do it front to back
front.
because that's the way it'll.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's going to be popped.
And it's a different sound
You bet.
when you have a rattle in wood than an injected mold. On my River to Sea Bubble Walkers, I
Right.
pull the beads out. I poke a hole in the eye.
Right.
I drop those beads out and I make them silent. But with this,
And
it's
we
not.
make a silent also.
Oh, you do make a silent.
Correct.
I want one of each because there are times when I
You
want
bet.
that, and there are times when you don't. You know, when you get those evenings, Delta evenings, and it's been 105 degrees all day, and it's just flat calm, no wind, no breeze. You're throwing this thing up in a foot of water.
Right.
I want it to just be as natural as it can. I don't want this may not be bad,
You bet.
but I really like them silent. That breeze comes up a little bit. That's the key.
They're golf
yeah.
clubs. They all have a purpose.
Right.
And the rattle in the stained water, you want to call them from farther.
Mhm.
Or if they're deep in clear water, you want
Right.
to call them. But if you're up shallow, you don't want the rattle. It's going to be right there in their face.
Yeah.
So
guys, I don't want to take Bob's thunder. Bob has a phone. He talks on the phone with people. He's going to give you his number, and if you want to talk to Bob, I suggest you give him a call, and he can answer all the little details that normally, most bait makers, you're not going to be able to talk to them personally.
You bet.
And remember, his 3 standard baits that are fish catching fools are the
Ramrat,
Ramrat,
the Ram Walker,
the Ram Walker,
and the Ram Pop.
and the Ram Pop. And that's Ram Baits. Bob, give everybody your number.
Yeah, it's 209
Mm-hmm.
304 3911.
One more time.
209 304 3911. And you could also reach us on our Facebook page. We just created it. I'm an old guy, and social media I'm learning. But we're on Facebook at Ramwood Lures. And that way you can order baits there. And the nice thing about when you order them on the Facebook or when you call us, if you want to customize something with the paint, all the parts that we use are nothing but the best. Hooks, because of the shortage with this pandemic, we use both owners and gamakatsus because each one of them have had times where you just can't get hooks.
Right. You've got a couple shops selling these baits. You want to
Yeah.
give them a holler also?
You bet. We are at Hooked in Ione. Jane and Becky carry them down there. Rob carries them at the Bass Hole in Bethel Island. And we just made a deal with Outdoor Pro Shop in Kotati. And we will have them there in the next few weeks.
So all you guys that are interested in these custom baits, I think you got to check them out. Bob, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
I
Steve,
can't
for
wait to
coming.
get these things on the water, and we're going to spend a little bit more time because I want to go over your whole situation here.
You
And
bet.
the other thing, I was at the Vista del Lago Club last night, high school club, and there's a lot of young bait makers out there, and we talked about it. If you guys are interested in bait making, painting, you've got some questions, give Bob a call. He'll be
Please.
more than happy to help you out and with advice that he has from, I didn't ask your age, but I'm saying 50 years of bait making or more.
Yeah, I'm up there.
Okay, so Bob, thanks again.
Thanks, Steve.
Check him out, and hey, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. We'll get more guys like Bob out here, although there's not many guys that are doing this by hand anymore, one at a time. But thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys on the water.